Ladies and gentlemen, today we're diving into some of the most profound and revolutionary teachings of Jesus and how they can transform not only our spiritual lives, but also our everyday relationships and interactions. So let's jump straight into it.
I and the Father are one.
Let's begin with one of the most challenging and yet transformative lessons that Jesus taught, and that is to love your enemies and seek forgiveness without limits. Now, Jesus said in Matthew 5, verse 44, that you should love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. As we know, this is what he did when he was on the cross being crucified. Peter later asked Jesus, how often should we forgive? And Jesus replied, not 7 times, but 77 times. Matthew 18, verse 22. Now, these teachings seem impossible at first glance, right? I mean, loving someone who's wronged you feels counterintuitive. But here's the thing. If you hold on to that anger and resentment towards the person, it doesn't hurt them, it actually hurts you. Forgiveness is not about letting someone off the hook for bad behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of bitterness. So how can you apply this to your everyday life? Well, in your relationships, if there's a misunderstanding with a friend or a fight with a family member, choose forgiveness over grudges and allow the healing process to begin. And if you're on social media, well, probably avoid social media altogether, to be fair. But loving your enemies apply here as well. Before responding to a heated comment, ask yourself if your response is coming from a place of love or ego. Forgiveness is about breaking the cycle of negativity and choosing love even when it's hard. It's not a weakness, it's a strength, and it will free your heart from bitterness and resentment. The next lesson is one of Jesus' most countercultural lessons, and that is on servant leadership. He said in Matthew 20, verse 26 to 28, whoever wants to be leader among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must become your slave. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many. And this flips our traditional idea of leadership on its head. True greatness doesn't come from power or authority. It comes from serving other people. Have you ever been in a situation with a boss, manager, friend, family member, or even a stranger, and instead of them dictating or selfishly abusing their position, they do everything to help and accommodate you? This builds trust, respect, and love for the person, naturally making you want to return the favor or the act of kindness that they've shown you. So what can you learn from this? Well, if you serve others, you try to help them without ego, jealousy, or any secret agendas, they will naturally pick up on this and thus respond positively and appreciate you more, because this is rarely done in modern day society, if we're being honest. The key is though, you're not doing this to be liked. You're genuinely doing this to try and help the other person. If you do it for selfish reasons, not only will they pick up on this, because humans, we are very sensitive to people's agendas, but you won't be living according to Jesus' teachings. Help others, serve others, destroy your ego, spread love, compassion, and empathy, and you will reap the rewards. Next is one of the most precious teachings from Jesus, and one that will change how you approach every single interaction. It is the golden rule, which is found in Matthew 7, verse 12. Jesus said, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." It's simple yet powerful. Think about how often our actions are driven by our selfish motives, our ego, or our corrupt desires. However you want to be treated in the world, which I'm assuming is nice, positive, and respectful, then you must treat others that same way. Because you can't be a selfish person and expect others to treat you graciously. It doesn't work like that. Yet so many people in our selfish society behave this way. If you want to be treated well, then treat others the same way. Now inevitably, you're going to run into some people who will still respond negatively to your positive approach, and that's fine. Distance yourself, forgive them, wish them well, and then move on. Just don't let their toxic behavior affect your kind and loving energy. Remember, spread love, not hatred. Now, the next lesson that we can learn from Jesus is to embrace people who are marginalized or disliked. Jesus, of course, did this with tax collectors, women who were viewed as lesser at the time, Samaritans, the sick, etc. In fact, this outraged the Pharisees. In Luke 15, verse 2, the Pharisees were disgusted, saying, "He even eats with sinners." Now, what does that mean for us today? Well, it means you should include more people, especially those who are marginalized. If you're at work or school, look out for the person who feels left out. Invite them to lunch, ask them about their day. It's a very simple gesture that doesn't mean much to you, but it could mean the world to them and even change their life if they're in a dark place. Additionally, challenge your biases. Doesn't matter if someone's from a different background, belief system, or lifestyle, choose to see their humanity first. Everyone is created in the image of God, And if we look out for each other and include each other, we will live in a more compassionate world. This is more important than ever now, as we live in a world where people are more divided than ever based on silly, superficial differences. If someone is in a different class than you, or quote unquote lower position in society, or least popular position, or stigmatized, reach out to them, help them, include them, love them. For if you're in a position of power or privilege, do not do what most people in these positions do and abuse it, or think that you're better than other people. Use that position and power to help those less fortunate than you and bring them up to your level. If we do that, this world will be a much better place. And finally, the greatest commandment. In Matthew 22, verse 37 to 39, Jesus said, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Now, loving God, you don't have to be perfect. Start small. Spend a few minutes each day in prayer, gratitude, or reflection. Speak to him and build a relationship with him. There's no perfect way of doing this, so don't worry about being all formal or proper like you see with some of the other religious folk. Just take your time and do what comes naturally. As long as you're building that relationship and communicating with God, he will be happy. Now, loving your neighbor, we briefly discussed this before, but show love to everyone around you. Our world is full of so much hate, too much selfishness, too much ego, too much narcissism. Develop compassion, empathy, love and kindness, and then pass it on to everyone around you. As I said, a small act of kindness can really change someone's life. This week, pick one of these teachings and put it into action, and gradually incorporate all the teachings into your daily life. As I say, if we do that, this world will be so much better, and we'll be doing what Christ wanted us to do. If you made it this far, then thank you. Don't forget to subscribe and like, as we got more videos like this coming out next week, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. Peace.